Welcome back to the Bible Reading Project. It is Friday. I've been sitting in all week long with one, I would say my BFL, but been sitting in all week long with Uncle Phil. Welcome on board to Believers Church. Glad you're part of the team. Your first week with us. So, man, thank you. Thank you for sitting in for Ryan. He's been gone today. However, we're bringing back cute Ryan. So he's coming back. He said next week. I hope so. I kind of miss him. We'll see. But you'll come on more and kind of hang out with us.
Yeah, sure.
We might even buy a third mic. I mean, you imagine three of us bantering together.
But then it would be me and my best friend and Phil.
Yeah, right. So, or you and Ryan would probably become best friends and kick me off. But I do apologize that I didn't know you like I thought I knew you. So I just want to ask some more questions about Uncle Phil. Okay. I want to get to know you a little bit better. Okay. What is a pet peeve of yours?
Oh man, it's the biggest pet peeve I have. I hate people who are late. Not the people who are late. I just hate being late to events. And if I have a meeting and people showing up late, it will drive me
So
bananas.
Better to be 5 minutes is on time for you.
No, like 15 minutes. I'm going to show up 15 to 20 minutes early to everything.
Because your Marine Corps are always that way.
I mean, the Marine Corps taught me that. They teach you that if you're on time, like if something starts at 6 and you're there at 6, you're late.
So question for you, what age did you go in the Marine Corps?
I went in at age 19.
And you went where for boot camp?
So I went to Parris Island.
Jesus, Parris Island.
Listen,
is it as bad as they say there's like gnats and all that?
Yeah, and you stand on those famous yellow footprints when you get there, and I mean I put my feet on the yellow footprints, and once those drill instructors started at me, I was like, oh God, what did I just do? I can be in the Air Force getting the same amount of money that I'm doing this for, And so, it was just very physical. The mental side wasn't that bad.
What was the hardest thing in boot camp? Marine Corps boot camp.
They had something called the sand pit, right? Okay. And it was for, when you get in trouble, you go do push-ups and that kind of thing. So the worst was they would make you go to the sand pit and kick your feet around the sand to kick the sand gnats up, and then stand at the position of attention. And then you can't move when you're at the position of attention. Sand gnats all over you. You got guys with blood streaking down. And I can remember one time, we're all there. We got in trouble for something, and one of the guys, did this, and because he thought a drill instructor wasn't looking. Well, they've got eyes in the back of their head. Sure. Guy sees him. Drill instructor sees him. Makes the kid find a dead sand gnat in the sand pit, and then he finally finds one, and whatever the drill instructor asked, was it a male or female? Yeah. That he's not going to get that question right, and he's like, female. So he looks at it and says, no, that's not the right, find another one, stupid. They call Mondays Milton Bradley Mondays because they play a lot of games with you and stuff like that just, oh my gosh, man.
So what was your rank when you got out?
So I was an E5. I was a sergeant.
You were in how long?
I was 4 years. I was meritoriously promoted twice.
Okay, cool.
I was a good Marine.
What did you do?
I was a 5811, which is the number assigned to it. I was a military police officer. In my last year, I was in criminal investigation division, and I was in the narcotics and gang violence unit.
That's in Okinawa, right?
Well, I spent the first year in Okinawa, spent the rest in Quantico, Virginia. Awesome. And so when I got to Quantico, I did pretty good and got promoted to the investigation division. Matter of fact, they really wanted me to re-enlist, and of course I think they want everybody to re-enlist.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't, got out, had actually a test date for a few different departments, New York, NYPD, Washington, D.C., that kind of thing, and God got a hold of me, and the rest is history.
All right, I want to hear that. How did God get a hold of a Marine Corps boy running from him? Because you went to the Marines because you're running from God.
Yeah, I was straight running, and I grew up in a church family. All my life I went to church, and I knew God, had experiences with God, and got in the Marine Corps. I was running from a calling that the Lord had placed on my life, and so I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, did very well. I got out of the Marine Corps, went back to Lee University, and I was just kind of showing off, had my uniform on, that kind of a thing, and a guy by the name of Dr. Walt Malden, who was just a mentor to me. I still talk to him to this day. He invited me over to his house, and him and his wife, Penny, who has now since passed, just spent till like 2 o'clock in the morning with me. And, it was a great time. I was supposed to leave the next morning, and he said, before you leave, just come by the office again. And so I came by the office, and he said, listen, and I'll never forget this as long as I live, and I get emotional thinking about it. He had a coffee cup, on his desk, and he said, Phil, he said, man, he said, God has something for you that it's crazy, man. And he said, for you, he said, what you don't understand, he said, it's as easy for you as if I want to sip of this coffee. He said, all I have to do is pick up the cup, put it to my lips, lips and drink it. He said, it's easy, right? He said, that's how easy it is for you. God's given it to you that easy. And man, it got a hold of my life so hard. I mean, and so I went back to Lee University to finish up, and listen, there were times that Dr. Malden had to very lovingly put his hands around my throat because I would mess up and stuff, and really the rest is history. In early 2001, or I guess mid to late 2001, I started working at the North Cleveland Church of God. And
now, most people don't know this. You did music for years, like super talented with music, and you can write music, you can chart it all out. But most people don't know this. You're and were in the Marine Corps an incredible trumpet player.
Yeah, I played trumpet for, as a matter of fact, when I went to Lee, that's what I went to Lee for. I never envisioned myself leading worship, actually. I thought I would do studio work and even produce eventually. And God had other plans.
So I got a question for you. You know we do Blues and Barbecue here yet?
I've heard of it, yeah.
You're in. You're going to play trumpet for me.
You've got a great guy that plays.
I got Reggie. Reggie will come play sax. Will you promise me you'll dust the trumpet off and learn for Blues and Barbecue this fall?
I thought I was back on keys.
No, I'd rather have you on trumpet. I would like to hear you wear the trumpet out.
So you want me to on camera commit? That's what this is trumpet.
You think I know you can pull it off? It's just going to take discipline.
Yeah,
you're incredible at it.
And you've never heard me really.
Dust the thing off. Yes, dust it off.
I will.
You're Marine, son.
I will commit to playing trumpet.
Okay, good. I want you to dust it off because I think we could go far. I think we could have a good time. Thank you, by the way, for serving our country. I love that when people do. One final question, right there. Tell us a little bit about what's going on. Y'all look. Everybody's making the weird face.
That is the dynamic of our family. That in a picture that encapsulates it all.
That does capture.
Growing up, my mother said that she would literally have to whoop me to get me to take a serious picture. I just don't take serious pictures, and so most of my family has followed suit in that. We take what we call crazy pictures, but then my favorite is these, and then I take pictures when they're not ready or looking. Right. Oh my gosh, they make for the best pictures. And
now I follow you on social media. You're always with your family and kids. Tell us just a little bit about the importance of why that is in your life, the importance of family.
I can't do anything without them. I prayed so long for a wife, and I didn't get married till I was 33. And so it was important for me not only to get married, but to find the right person and to create that hottie, googly hottie right there, man. And so it's just, family is important, man. When everything else, especially ministry, when everything else is gone, when other people come in and out, family, they're going to be there.
And you know what I've noticed the 10 years I've known you, there's not a 0 ounce of you faking that.
Oh, no.
Like every time I'm talking to you, you're doing something with your girls, something with your wife.
Sure.
And even, Robin and I joke about our date nights up here, and you're like, dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
It just means a lot to have men of God that will love their children, men of God that will love their brides. Yeah. And so I'm excited for you being up here. Yeah. I know I've known you a long time. Sure. And I know a lot of folks at Believers Church don't.
Yeah.
So, I thank you for coming. It's a big risk, right? You left a wonderful place you were at. You'd been there for 7 years, and you and Alicia felt to move here to help Robin and I. So I know our team, I know our church is going to love you all. I think you're going to fit in perfectly because your personality, for your passion for Jesus, but your love for people, but your tenderness, just of who you are. That a Marine Corps dude could be so tender toward people, but I love that about you. So thank you so much. To do one thing, because we read to work Psalm 119 in, it kind of gives us a break today, so we can kind of stay on track. So what, again, is your favorite passage of Scripture?
So my favorite passage is Isaiah 61. It's that Monday morning, oh my gosh, I'm going to resign, passage. And as a matter of fact, I'll give you a short story about just kind of missions in Isaiah 61. We did a pastors conference a few years ago, and one of the pastors was sitting there in Kenya, and he said, the Muslims are really moving in, and oddly enough, the Catholic Church is moving in, and they have all the money in the world, and they're saying, if for your kids, if you'll come to our schools and convert to Islam or the Catholic schools or whatever, then we'll educate your kids. And he said, we don't have that kind of money. We don't have buildings. We're very poor. We don't have, 2 nickels to scrape together. tell me. I mean, tell me what to do. And it hit in my heart in that moment to say, well, here's what you're supposed to do, Isaiah 61. And so I read the passage to him, and it's meant so much to me, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is what the Lord, I feel like, has appointed me and called to do. When everything else has gone wrong on Sundays, and you got people who are that hate your guts or love you or whatever the case may be, this Isaiah 61 I read and kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, well, we can move on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, do me a favor today. Read Isaiah 61, since it's your favorite, and we're learning all about you this week and your family. And let's just see what the Lord will say to us in it.
Yeah, Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies. To all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for his own glory. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, repairing cities destroyed long ago. They will revive them, though they have been deserted for many generations. Foreigners will be your servants. They will feed your flocks and plow your fields and tend your vineyards. You will be called priests of the Lord, ministers of our God. You will feed on the treasures of the nations and boast in their riches. Instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. I will faithfully reward my people for their suffering and make an everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants will be recognized and honored among the nations. Everyone will realize that they are people the Lord has blessed. That's so good. I am overwhelmed with joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me with the clothing of salvation and draped me in a robe of righteousness. I am like a bridegroom dressed for his wedding, or a bride with her jewels. The sovereign Lord will show his justice to the nations of the world, and everybody will praise him. His righteousness will be like a garden in early spring, with plants springing up everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, read the part again where it says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And then I'm going to go to the New Testament and read the same passage from the lips of Jesus. So read that one more time.
The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. You want me to keep going?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies.
Listen to this now.
Yeah.
This is Luke 4, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus came to the village of Nazareth, his boyhood home, he went as usual to the synagogue on the Sabbath and stood up to read the scriptures. The scroll of Isaiah the prophet was handed to him. Can you imagine this? I mean, what we just read, Jesus is about to read it. So he opens it up. He's going to read exactly what you just read. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where this was written. And now he's about to read. Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim the captives will be released, the blind will see, the oppressed will be set free, and the time of the Lord's favor had come.
Yeah.
But he rolled up the scroll and handed it back to the attendant and sat down. Why do you think Jesus stopped a half a verse short by not saying, and with it, read that last verse from Isaiah again, right after it says, and the time of the Lord's favor.
He sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor hath come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies.
So why do you think in this verse, in Luke chapter 4, he says the time of the Lord's favor has come, period, rolls the scroll up, hands it back. Why did he stop reading right before and with it God's wrath?
Man. I'm not sure. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My opinion is because he was going to be the living example of the wrath of God coming upon him own self. So when he says all of this other stuff, the blind will see, the lame will walk, the time of God's favor is here, and then Isaiah, and with it the wrath of God that will come. I think the reason he stopped short there is because the wrath that was going to come on God's enemies, right, is going to be staved off the body of Christ. That it's not, that the nation of Israel was no longer going to be viewed as God's enemy. And neither were we. We were going to be viewed as friends of God because of the death of Jesus Christ. So it's not that the wrath of God is just no longer an option, but that the wrath of God is going to be satisfied on the back of the Son of God, so that we who are enemies can now become potential sons and daughters. And that's kind of the way I've always felt about that it wasn't that Jesus was denying the wrath of God and we've got this New Testament God that's not angry, but that Jesus was going to satisfy the wrath of God. And that punishment to those enemies was going to be put on his back. He was going to bear the punishment so that we could say, we are friends of God. We sing that song, but we really are friends of God. We're not his enemy anymore because of the righteousness of Jesus Christ and what he did. So, dude, thank you for hanging out with me all week.
Thank you, man, for having me.
I appreciate it. We'll have you back. I appreciate getting to know you a little better. I will do my best this year to learn you. I'm looking forward to getting to know more about Cairo Phil.
I'm telling you.
And good old Marine Corps Phil. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to settle in. I want you to enjoy what God wants to do here. Make yourself at home. Lots of good people at Believers Church. And I know those people are going to love to get to know you as well. How can they find you on social media?
So
that's different.
I'm on Facebook and I am on Instagram. And I believe my Instagram handle is @MacDeKnife. That's MacDKnife.
Mac the Knife.
It's an old Bobby Darin song, but Frank Sinatra is the one who really
Frank
did it for
Sinatra
me.
made Mac the Knife song popular. You grabbed that because the Japanese women in Marine Corps loved you to sing Sinatra songs.
They love karaoke, and I would sing stuff like New York, New York, and these mama sons, would start spreading the news, and these mama sons loved it, and I got this whole jazz Sinatra thing going, and so Mac the Knife, I sang that so much that they called me Mac the Knife.
So on Friday, we'll tag Mac the Knife because it's impossible to find Phil Anderson when your name is Mac the Knife. So we'll tag you and follow along with Phil. You'll get to see just nothing but family pictures. That's about how boring that is. So, but
some Carnegie Hall pictures. I'm looking at it now. New York City pictures.
Yeah, most people don't know that. You actually led a choir in Carnegie Hall, man. That's big time.
2 years ago, Carnegie Hall was Sandy Patty and a group called Veritas. We did a 350 voice choir and got to direct that. I think it was 2 years ago. And man, one of the highlights of my life standing on that stage behind some of those guys that have as well, and we got to lead worship before the concert, and so to stand up in front of that choir, one of my theme songs that I love how great is our God, just the goodness of God, and so we started singing that, and man, filled that auditorium up with
I feel
worship.
like we need to have you on again because there's a lot of stuff in you that we don't know. Like you're a musician, you sing, you play piano, you play trumpet, you lead choirs, you write music, you pen music, you read the Bible.
I could tell you some mission stories
that'll curl your hair. So I'm gonna have you back on. We'll have you back on a day and we'll chat with you. Thank you so much. We love you. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.